One of the best-selling authors of all time got how many rejections? Stay tuned, because I'll tell you at the end of the video. This is Madeleine L'Engle. You probably know her from her best-selling novel, A Wrinkle in Time. Did anyone else read that when they were a kid? Or maybe you know her from the movie adaptation of A Wrinkle in Time that came out a few years ago, featuring the love of my life, Oprah Winfrey. But way before all that, back in 1918, Madeleine L'Engle was born in New York City to two artists. Lucky. And it's said that one of her very earliest memories, which I think is always so interesting with authors, is being wakened up from sleep by her parents and being carried out to the beach to look up at the sky, which was full of stars. One might say that this sort of sparked her imagination and got her thinking about the vast expansiveness of the universe. And because her parents were busy academics and journalists and were always going to events, she was often left under the care of her housekeeper or all by herself. And so she spent much of her childhood alone in a library reading books, which, as we know, is one of the best ways to cultivate that creative mind. And then at 12, out of the blue, her parents moved to Switzerland and put her in boarding school. Talk about a drastic change from New York. Surrounded by cliquish peers and people who were just kind of snotty and mean, Madeleine was all alone, and she had to develop what she talks about as her force field. A force field of silence that she could inhabit like a magical cloak, protecting her from all of the sort of mean people around her. And inside that, she learned how to hone her imagination, how to become strong and create fortitude. And she also spent a lot of time writing stories and poems. And then, just before her 15th birthday, her parents sent her to another boarding school. She could get a break. She just started to make friends, bro. And this time, her boarding school was all the way in Charleston, South Carolina. Eventually, she went on to Smith College and got her degree in English and graduated in 1941. Talk about an awkward time to graduate. And then after college, she moved to New York and spent 6 years working in the theater. And as any actor will know, there's lots of wait times between productions, and she was working on Broadway, so she had tons of time in the wing, and she used her force field of silence to really work on her writing, and that's where she penned her first novel. She continued writing through the 50s and 60s and enjoyed moderate success, but she was still a not very well-known novelist. Also, here are some ads from that time for typewriters that I just think are fascinating. The most beautiful letters in the world. Now, the legend goes that on a cross-country vacation, a family vacation, 1959, she came up with the idea and they just popped into her head. The names of her beloved characters. And after finishing the novel later that year, she started querying it. But would you believe that it was rejected 26 times? Here's an old Steinbeck rejection just for fun. The book did eventually get published and has gone on to sell 14 million copies, so I guess she had the last laugh. The rest is history.